The Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. So what does food mean to you? There is something magical about the American diner. It's one of the few places where everyone, truly everyone, can pull up a chair and feel at home. The clink of a coffee cup, the sizzle from the griddle, the comfort of a plate that tastes like memory. Today, on the Maria Liberati Show, we're exploring the magic with someone who understands it on a deeper, more soulful level. My guest, Chef Julissa Hernandez-Roberts, has taken the spirit of the classic diner and reimagined it for a new generation in her new book, The New American Diner Cookbook. In the book, she celebrates the dishes we grew up with while weaving in the flavors, stories, and cultural influences that make today's American table so beautifully diverse. Her approach is fresh, heartfelt, and rooted in the belief that food is a bridge between communities, between traditions, and between the past and the future. Julissa's culinary journey is one shaped by heritage, curiosity, and a genuine love for feeding people. And in her hands, the diner becomes more than a place to eat. It becomes a place to belong. So I'm excited to dive into her story, her inspirations, and the recipes that bring her vision to life. So pour yourself a cup of something warm, settle in, and join me for a conversation that celebrates comfort, creativity, and the evolving flavors of America's most iconic gathering place. But before we dive into the interview, I wanted to just tell you my top 10 interesting facts about American diners. Number one is that the very first diner was not a building at all. It began in 1872 when Walter Scott sold late night food from a horse-drawn wagon in Providence, Rhode Island. That was essentially the first mobile diner. So that was the first mobile diner. Number two, early diners were literally built like train cars. So many classic diners were prefabricated rail car style structures shipped by rail and dropped into a foundation ready to open within days. Diners were originally, this is number three, diners were originally designed for workers on the go. In the early 1900s, they popped up near factories and industrial areas, offering quick, inexpensive meals for shift workers. And let's see, number four, the iconic stainless steel look came in the 1920s to 1930s. That shiny chrome exterior, counter stools, and long lunch counters, well, they are all part of the diner boom when manufacturers began producing larger, more stylish models. Number five, diners helped shape America's food identity. Hamburgers, hot dogs, milkshakes, fried eggs, and bottomless coffee became staples thanks to diner culture. Number six, menus became famously huge, and intentionally so. By the mid-20th century, diners were known for offering breakfast, seafood sandwiches, and desserts all in one place, making them a one-stop comfort food destination. Number seven, they were not always family friendly. In the 1940s, diners were considered vulgar boys' clubs before evolving into the welcoming all ages spaces that we know today. Number eight, diners became symbols of American resilience. Through wars, economic downturns, and cultural shifts, diners remained open, often 24/7, serving as community anchors. Number nine, the jukebox was not just decoration. Mid-century diners and jukeboxes to create a sense of youth culture and community, helping diners become social hubs, not just eateries. And number 10, diners are one of the most diverse culinary spaces in America. Though rooted in classic Americana, diners have long been shaped by immigrant cooks and owners, Greek, Italian, Latin American, and more, making them a true melting pot of flavors. So stick with me for my interview with Julissa Hernandez-Roberts. So we are celebrating International Women's Month, and our special guest today is Julissa Hernandez-Roberts, and she's the author of a book called The New American Diner Cookbook. And Julissa, I have to tell you, I was going through it, and I'm starving now. I'm like wanting to go run to a diner.
That is the hope, or at least run to your kitchen to do the
Yes,
same
to
thing.
whip up something. Yes, exactly. Exactly. What how you have a long list of credits. I introduced you as a chef and author, but people can find out more about you. You have a long list of credits, but what was your inspiration to write this book about American diners?
I mean, my biggest inspiration is literally my love of diners. I grew up in Queens, New York. I'm a New York City
Okay,
native.
there
So
we go.
diners were basically, when we went out to eat, we went out to a diner.
Yes,
So
yes.
it is something that from childhood I just absolutely adore. And wherever I go, I'm always looking for that great diner, the one that all the locals go to and everybody loves. And it's like my favorite, one of my favorite places to eat.
Exactly. What do you think is how should I say it? The forte of diners, like why do you think, people go to diners?
I mean, at the heart of it, and from the
Mhm,
beginning, it is literally just comfort on a plate, right?
mhm,
So we go to diners to not to eat like the newest creation or like some new
right,
molecular gastronomic, wonder. No, you go there to have a really great grilled cheese, or you go there to have the best burger you've ever had. And I
exactly.
think that's why diners will never go out of style. You know what I mean? Like we always want our comfort foods. We always go back to the things that make us feel safe and warm and lovely. And I think that's what diners are great for.
Definitely. I know when I think of eating at a diner, it's always like eating with friends and family or after like a special event or something or
Right.
just meet up and all. So I guess it's a whole diner culture. There's more to it. And the food is
Absolutely.
real, right? It's real food.
Yeah.
Um, and
You know,
I
you I've never heard anybody leave a diner and say they're still hungry. You know what I
Yes,
mean? So
exactly. And I wanted to ask you because I noticed you modernized some of the dishes. How did you approach modernizing the classic dishes without losing their soul?
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with, translating cooking from a restaurant kitchen or a diner kitchen to your
Uh-huh.
home kitchen. A lot of us don't have deep fat fryers. A lot of us don't have all these like, bits and bobs that all these professional kitchens
Exactly.
have. And, for modernizing it is just how do I make it simple? Because I also don't have a dishwasher. I have to do those all by myself. So,
Right, right,
or technically my husband doesn't, but that's okay.
right.
So how do I make it easier, less prep, less cleanup, and when it comes to deep frying, I will never shy away from a deep fryer, but if I could also make it in my air fryer
Air
and make it
fryer.
just as well,
Uh-huh.
that's basically what I'm aiming to do. And throughout my career, I've basically um prided on making my recipes easy and approachable and just like how do you get I always say maximum output with minimum input. You know
Input.
what I mean?
Yes,
So
yes. Yes, and I love the recipes too are just that, like they're not that complicated and just that you said, I think maximum output from maximum input. What is there a recipe that feels most personal to you?
yes, I personally love chicken frances. It is like lemony, chickeny goodness that it's been my favorite dish since I was a little kid. And
Uh-huh.
it's literally, if I go to a diner and they have that on the menu, that
Huh?
is your test. That is my diner test. Like if you could pull off a good chicken franchise, you have me for life. So, so that one for me is like my most favorite recipe. It is my most favorite thing to eat. And things always taste better when someone else makes it for you and you don't have to do all the
Exactly.
cooking. But
Exactly.
I like replicating it at home for the family, and it literally is my absolute favorite chicken.
Oh wow. Well, my most like when I saw it, I'm like, oh my gosh, it just brought back so many memories, the tuna melt. So we
Yes.
used to always, for lunch, like sometimes if I got off out of school early, we'd walk to the local diner, like my mom would take us to the local diner for lunch. Or, just on a Saturday, we would go and have lunch, and it's like, oh my gosh, the tuna melt, such good memories
Oh yeah.
from the
And for
tuna.
that one, basically, we're always trying to trim ourselves, make sure we're not eating too unhealthily. So
That's
with the
true.
tuna, you're almost there. So like
That's
I
true.
like strip out a little bit of that extra fat and mayo, and I mean, and just use really good quality tuna, because that just, oh, that sells it really, really, really well.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Yes, yes, yes. That just brings back so many memories. What did you I guess one question I wanted to say, what do you hope the readers feel when they cook from the book?
I hope that there's a lot of, oh, that's my favorite, so,
There you
and they'll
go.
want to replicate that, so I'm hoping that I did catch like all the diner favorites from across the country. I even in a nod to my husband who's from Scotland, I even gave him
Oh
like a
wow.
little fish and chips recipe in there
Uh-huh.
for
There
chippies
you
from
go.
Scotland, which are pretty closely, related, all
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just really hope people find what they were looking for, and then they can make it at home and feel so good about it.
Exactly. And do you have like any thoughts on the evolution of American food culture? Because there we do have our own food culture, and I think it is strongly related to the diners.
Oh, absolutely. And so American food culture, the way I see it, is it's global food culture. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Everybody, especially, listen, coming from Queens, it is the international food, gathering place, right? So you
Yes,
can
yes.
go from having Tibetan momos to having, Colombian empanadas to
There you
having
go.
great Italian food. So,
Yes,
coming from a place like that, I think American cuisine is bringing all these different cuisines and changing it to the ingredients that we have readily at hand. A lot of it
exactly.
has to do with, what do we have with us? What do we have around us?
Right.
And I feel, I grew up in a neighborhood that was Italian and Jewish and Latin. So like I had
Mhm.
all these different, neighbors, and we all had different ways of cooking. And
Uh-huh.
I even talk about it in the book. Like my mom is Cuban, so she would cook Cuban, but then we started learning tips and tricks from our Italian friends and our Jewish
Uh-huh.
friends. So everything just kind of became, like our meatloaf became like this hodgepodge of,
Exactly.
American, classically American,
Uh-huh.
New York, Italian, Spanish, everything, kind of mixed up
Uh-huh.
together.
Oh,
So, while I love that there's definitely different cuisines, I'm a big fan of a fusion. I'm a big fan of everybody coming together and bringing the best of their worlds, and making it all happen together.
exactly, because there are some ingredients that you can add, right, to different dishes that aren't
Absolutely.
typical, that either might make it healthier or might bump up the flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wonderful how there's this fusion that we have now in America, where before there, it really wasn't. So, that's definitely a good thing. So I understand in your book, it's not just recipes, and I just got it. So you also have trivia and stuff,
Oh,
or
just little tidbits. I'm a huge fan of
Mhm.
a little, so we actually call them
Yes.
tidbits in the book. I'm a
Uh-huh.
huge fan of little tidbits. So just, whether it's just a fun fact about a recipe,
Right.
or a easy way to kind of like switch it up a little bit. Let's say you
Uh-huh.
have a vegan or a vegetarian friend coming
Oh,
over. Here's
yeah.
a few tips and tricks to change it up so that everybody can eat together, from the same type
Exactly.
of recipe. And then
Exactly.
just like, I have I guess historical facts.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
where did the locomoco come from? In
Uh-huh.
Hawaii, like the local place from there, and then just also some, other local legends, like the Juicy Lucy from Minneapolis. Like, there's
Uh-huh.
two people fighting over the legacy of that burger. So,
Oh, wow.
we talk about that a little bit, and just, give everybody's side of the story, and then you figure it out.
Yes, and I'm assuming that I'm not sure if you did this and if you know this from your research, but I'm assuming New Jersey is probably the diner like capital of the
It
USA.
is. I feel like that's like on page 4,
Oh,
Maria.
there you go. There you go. Then
It
it
is.
is
New Jersey is the diner capital of the United States, definitely, probably of the world, because
of the
we're big
world.
diner people.
Yes, yes,
and
yes.
and yeah, I mean, there's an oh, I mean, the Northeast in and of itself is huge, but
Uh-huh.
New Jersey is where diners, like, that's where like the diners were built in the beginning, back in the day when they were just like rail cars. So
Uh-huh.
there's a huge history of diners in New Jersey.
There you go. Yeah, I thought so because I had mentioned, well, before we started that I grew up in the area, and stopping eating at a diner was always like a big fun thing to do with family and friends. And it's neat because they were open 24 hours.
Yep.
So, if you were out late, you could stop and get, breakfast at like 2 in the morning and just meet with a whole group of friends or family or whatever.
Yeah.
So just lots and lots of fun
Yeah,
memories.
for us, like, we would go dancing, in Manhattan, and then we'd all
Exactly.
come home to Queens and we'd all stop off at our favorite diner. Like you said, like at 4 in the morning, after you've been dancing
Exactly.
all night, that's where disco fries came from. People would come
Yes.
in, have those fries with their cheese, their gravy, and it was a tradition. It's what we did,
Yes.
every time we went out dancing.
It definitely, we did that too. We would go out in the city in Philadelphia and then go to one of the diners there nearby in Jersey, and
Yeah.
just such fun memories.
And such a
That's
great place that like you can go there. Not only can you go there as a kid, you can go there
right.
as like a young adult, a
Exact,
teenager, a full-grown
exactly.
adult, a senior. There's something for everybody. I mean, diners are just like, the most welcoming place on earth.
They are, and they're comfortable. You don't have to worry about like dressing up, and you
Exactly.
can just go there and be comfortable. So I think besides the comfort food, so I was going to ask you one last question because I think we're almost out of time, but what does comfort food mean to you? What do you see as comfort food?
So pretty much anything that, and I feel like comfort food can change for you for whatever mood you're in. Like,
Right.
there are some days where my comfort food is a good old bowl of rice and beans like my grandma used to make. And then
Uh-huh.
there's other days where, I mean, my love language is a chicken cutlet. I love a chicken cutlet more than anything. So for me, it's basically what at that moment, what brings you the comfort you need, whether it be nostalgia, you want to think about a loved one that used to make a dish for you, or you want to think about a time and a place where you were, where you used to eat this all the time. And sometimes it's just that place that, I just need fries and a nice crisp diet coke. Maybe that's all I need
Exactly.
today. So I
Yes.
think comfort food is ever changing, and it's
Uh-huh.
very personal. um
Right.
so yeah, I think it could be anything for anybody.
Definitely. I love that answer. Yes. And any upcoming projects, or are you working on your next book? Or I know this is going to be released April 7th. Is that right?
Yes, April
Okay.
7th, and it's available for pre-order if anybody would want to grab a
Oh,
copy
yes.
early.
Yes. Tell people where they can pre-order the
Yeah,
new
yeah. I
American
mean,
Diner
anywhere you buy
Cookbook.
your books, you could get it on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. It's all there. If anybody's international, I know in Canada, Indigo has it, and
Okay.
Waterstones and all these places all over the world. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's just it's I'm currently, I also have a day job. This
Uh-huh.
I have a day job, so I'm in full swing with that.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, this is my first cookbook written in my name. In the past I've ghostwritten several cookbooks, so
Uh-huh.
this one has a big extra special space in
Special
my
space
heart.
in your
So
heart, definitely. And I think it's so wonderful because, when people think of cookbooks, they think of these fancy recipes, and,
yeah,
people kind of overlook the diners, but the diners really, well, as you'll see in your cookbook, really do have special recipes.
yeah,
So I love it. Um, Julissa, thank you so much for being here, and much
thank
success with the
you.
cookbook. So people can find the cookbook anywhere they can find books.
Yep, just pop it into Google and it'll show you where you could get
Okay.
it.
Do you have a website that we want to, tell people, or are you on
Oh yeah, sure.
Instagram?
You could see me on JulissaRoberts.com, and
Okay.
you could see all my list of works and all the other things that I've done in the past.
Yes. 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 And it is many.
Yeah.
Great. Julissa, thank you so much, and much success with the book.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was great talking to you.
Hey, I just want to remind everyone that on this Saturday and Sunday, March 28th and 29th, I will be at the Bucks Country Gardens in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, doing a cooking demo and a book signing from my award-winning book series, the Gourmand World Award-winning book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking. And If you are in the Doylestown, Pennsylvania area, please come out. It's the Bucks Country Gardens open house. They do this every year. This is my second year that I have the pleasure of participating in and doing an appearance during their open house. They will also have some other guests, and the events are taking place from 10 till 3. You can look it up online. It's Bucks Country Gardens in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Would love to see you there. This brings us to the end of another episode of today's delicious conversation. Speaking with Julissa Hernandez-Roberts reminds us why the American diner holds such a special place in our hearts. Its comfort, its community, its heritage served on a warm plate. Her new book, The New American Diner Cookbook, captures all of that spirit with a fresh modern twist. And I hope our chat today inspired you to revisit your own favorite diner memories. I know I have a lot. Or maybe even create new ones in your kitchen with her book. And thank you for joining me here on the Maria Liberati Show, where we celebrate food stories and the people who bring both to life. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, share it with a friend, or leave a review. It helps our little community grow. And I also want to give special thanks to my producer, Britton Roselle. And as always, you can find me at marialiberati.com. You can also find me on Facebook at Chef Maria Liberati, on Instagram at Maria Liberati, on Pinterest at Maria Liberati, on Vimeo at Maria Liberati, on Twitter or X at Maria Liberati. Our YouTube channel is called The Maria Liberati Show. And you can also find us on Pinterest. You can find me on Pinterest, that is, at Maria Liberati. And also, you can find my Gourmand World award-winning book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, on Amazon and Kindle, where actually you can also get audiobook versions of some of my books. You can also find the books at barnesandnoble.com and really anywhere books are sold, including the publisher's website, artoflivingprimamedia.com. And until next time, keep savoring the simple moments, keep cooking with heart, and as always, peace, love, and pasta.